Hi, this video shows how to create a Cornish coastline in a bowl using succulents and slate. The starting point is this green glazed dish. It immediately reminded me of the magical emerald and turquoise luminosity of waters around the Cornish coastline. The base of the plant display will be a humble Tupperware container, and then onto this goes a fabulous piece of quarried Cornish slate. It has such interesting texture. I was photographing it recently, but now it's going to be hidden away for a while under the planting. I'm finding the most stable side as it needs to be able to support everything that's going on top. So the stars of the display are 3 succulents from a specialist nursery. I have these really beautiful, compact, variegated Crassula, and then the more wild-looking ice plant, which is usually an outdoor specimen, but I'm experimenting. I think they look great together, and although they are not Cornish plants, I'm hoping they will evoke the naturalised miniature plant environment that you find established in Cornish walls, especially slate-built harbour walls. The plan is to surround the succulents with a compost mixture and push pieces of slate into this to stabilise it all. There may not be quite enough room to put slates all the way round, but I'll see how it goes. That's our cuckoo clock, which always makes me smile, but I hope the planting plan isn't too cuckoo. So to make the compost mixture, I'm using a 50-50 mix of bonsai compost and houseplant compost. The bonsai compost has larger particles which help to create a kind of cement for the slate pieces. So I'm tipping out the compost. And the gloves are on. Then I'm mixing the 2 types of compost together and adding water gradually until the mixture is blended and bonding together well. When the mixture can make a palm-sized ball that retains its shape, I know I'm ready for the next stage. I need to take about half that quantity and gently but firmly push it against the side of the plants. Here's a replay in close-up. So I continue until all 3 plants are surrounded by their compost retaining wall. This is how it looks once this stage is completed. On to the slates. These are not Cornish. I think they were described as Welsh plum slates, so they at least have a Celtic heritage. They are freshly washed as I've pilfered them from the top dressing on a plant from the garden. Ideally, for a project on this scale, I want pieces around 4 centimetres long. To make the slate wall as stable as possible, I'm trying to find a right-angled corner to push into the compost. As you push the slates in at one point, the compost will tend to bulge out at another point, but that's fine. The compost mixture is damp and malleable, and you can gently pat it back into place as you go. Plus, it doesn't have to look perfect, it's an old weather-beaten wall. Here's a replay close-up. If it looks like there's too big a gap between slates, then go back and fill it in with an extra slate. As I progress along, I can see there's not going to be quite enough room on the base to fully enclose all three sides in a slate wall, but I'm happy with the look so far. Here's how it's looking. The slate wall now runs along one side and round either corner. The next stage involves moss and matchsticks. Covering the remaining compost with moss should still feel authentic because those gorgeous old slate walls in Cornwall are covered in lichen and moss. Fortunately, our back garden has plenty of moss to harvest. While I'm outside gathering moss, I'm also going to collect a few additional succulents. These are hardy houseleeks growing around the base of an apple tree. They don't look their best in winter, but I'll just remove any dead leaves. So I now have a plate of moss and a mix of burgundy and green coloured houseleeks. I select a piece of moss, place it against the compost wall and pin it into place using matchsticks. Alternatively, you could use toothpicks or little sections of twig. I've decided one of the larger houseleeks will make a great focal point here, so I push the roots into the compost wall and secure them in place. Once you've finished and you're happy with your moss placement, use scissors to trim it if necessary. Now I'll use smaller pieces of moss to cover any remaining bare areas of compost and add more houseleeks. Many of these are offshoot plants which were growing horizontally from the main rosettes, so their strong little stems are ideal to push straight into the damp compost, especially between the slates. The idea is to create a feeling of plant life that's thriving in sheltered slate niches on an exposed coastline. In a few weeks' time, the offshoot plants will all have developed their own roots in the compost. An old makeup brush is perfect for dusting off any loose compost. So the slates look secure and everything seems firmly planted in. Just for effect, I'm adding water, making sure it doesn't reach the level of the slate. I won't have water in here permanently, it's just a temporary ocean for a bit of fun. On the subject of water, we're in a centrally heated house, so I'll be spraying the moss every morning and giving a little bit of moisture to the houseleeks to get them rooting in. The Crassula and ice plant will not want their roots sitting on a soggy base, so I'll probably leave them to absorb moisture from the compost wall around them, rather than directly watering them. But as this is a bit of an experiment, I'll just keep an eye on their progress and water as and when needed. The 3 central succulents are closely packed together, so they will not grow like this forever, but I'll be able to enjoy this display for the next few months before repotting the plants on. It's been helpful to film at this lower angle because looking with a critical eye, I can see a couple of places where a matchstick could do with being pushed out of sight and an extra succulent would plug a compost gap. So just like a real garden, it's already evolving and improving. So here it is, a characterful Cornish dish and a feast of lovely succulents. I loved filming this part, it's the full 360 tour. We hope you enjoy it as much as we do.